Look, I need you to understand something right now. Motivation is a feeling, but discipline is a decision. You don't rise to the level of your feelings. You fall to the level of your habits. Some of you waiting to feel good before you move, before you work, before you grind, and that's why you're losing. Listen to motivation might get you started, but it won't carry you through the storm. You think I feel like waking up at 3 in the morning every day? You think I feel like grinding when I'm tired, when I'm broken, when I'm hurt? No, but I made a decision. Discipline don't care how you feel. Discipline says get it done anyway. See, when you got motivation, you might make a little noise. But when you got discipline, you become a machine. Rain, snow, pain, pressure, it don't matter. Discipline makes you consistent, and consistency creates excellence. Some of y'all motivated Monday and lazy by Thursday. Dang how you win. You want to be great? Stop depending on your feeling and stop depending on your principle. Champions don't wake up motivated every day. They wake up disciplined every day. They do it when it's hard, when nobody's watching, when there's no applause. Why? Because they're committed to the process. Listen, motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. The grind is ugly, but the results are beautiful. And if you want what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done. You got to do it every single day. So stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Get disciplined and let that discipline build your legacy. You keep waiting to feel something. You keep sitting around hoping that motivation will strike like lightning. You watch the videos. You listen to the music. You scroll through quotes on Instagram, waiting for something to hit your spirit hard enough to make you move. But let me tell you something, and I want you to hear me loud and clear. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a commitment. And feelings lie. Feelings are inconsistent. Feelings are flaky. You can feel like a lion in the morning and feel like a sheep by the afternoon. That's the trap. You think your future is going to be built on how you feel. Nah, that's not how this works. That's why most people never win. That's why most people talk big, but live small. Because they're waiting for a spark that never lasts instead of building a fire that never dies. You want to change your life? You want to go to the next level? Then you have to make a decision. You have to make a commitment so deep, so real, so unshakable, that it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter what's going around you. The commitment stays the same. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're frustrated. I don't care if you're broken. You show up, you lock in, you do the work. That's what discipline does. Discipline says, I made a promise to myself, and I don't break promises to myself. But see, when you only move when you're motivated, you're breaking promises every single day. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, that's a broken promise. Every time you say, I'm not feeling it right now, that's a broken promise. And over time, you start to believe you're not capable. Not because you're not gifted, but because you never trained yourself to follow through. You trained yourself to wait on a feeling instead of trusting your commitment. You want to be successful? Then you better stop listening to how you feel. You better start listening to what you said you would do. You said you wanted to be great. You said you wanted to be first generation rich. You said you were going to break the cycle. Then act like it. Do the work even when it hurts. Show up when it's hard. Push through when it's uncomfortable. That's what separates the best from the rest. I'm not successful because I'm always motivated. I'm successful because I'm always committed. My feelings don't run my life. My commitment does. You know how many days I didn't feel like it. You know how many mornings I stared at the alarm clock and wanted to hit snooze? But I did. You know why? Because I made a vow. I told myself I would do it no matter what. And every time I kept that vow, I got stronger. Every time I honored my word, I gained confidence. See, discipline builds identity. Every time you follow through, you're proving to yourself that you're reliable, that you're built different, that you're not just talk. But when you only move off motivation, your identity is fragile. It's fake. Because the moment you stop feeling it, everything collapses. You fall off. You quit. You disappear. And nobody hears from you until the next wave of motivation comes back around. Discipline don't wait for waves. Discipline builds boats. It says, I'll move no matter what the tide is doing. And that's the kind of mindset you need if you're going to last in this life. Because storms are coming. Setbacks are coming. Days where your back's against the wall are coming. And if all you got is motivation, you ain't going to survive. You're going to fold under pressure. You're going to look for shortcuts. You're going to make excuses. But when you got discipline, you say, a pressure or not, I'm showing up. Results or not, I'm showing up. Applause or not, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. That's power. That's ownership. That's the DNA of champions. Some of you have been chasing motivation for years. You've been living in cycles. Start something, stop something, get excited, then get lazy. You start a diet, then break it on day 3. You set a goal, then forget about it the next week. Why? Because you keep waiting to feel like it. You think energy equals excellence, but the truth is commitment equals excellent. The truth is, it's the man or woman who makes up their mind and never looks back that wins the race, not the person who sprints the first lap and quits halfway. Every single one of us has moments when we get fired up. That rush of adrenaline when we hear something powerful, when we catch a glimpse of our potential, when life slaps us in the face and we say, hey, that's it. I'm changing. That's motivation. That's the engine turning on. That's the moment the key gets twisted and everything lights up inside you. You get goosebumps. You feel unstoppable. You tell yourself, from today, I'm never going back. That moment's real. That feeling is valid. But that's just the engine starting. That's not movement. That's not progress. That's not the journey. That's not transformation. That's just the beginning. Because once the engine is on, you still got to drive. You still got to steer. You still got to press the pedal. And that's where discipline comes in. Motivation will start the engine, but only discipline will keep the vehicle moving when life gets hard, when the roads get bumpy, when the rain starts falling, and when everybody else pulls over and quits. People love starting things. People love day one. Now, everybody's posting a new me, new grind. Watch me now. But come day 10, when the soreness sets in, when the grind gets lonely, when nobody's clapping anymore, what happens then? Most people stop. Most people stop. Most people quit. They thought motivation would carry them through, but motivation was never built for the long haul. It's an emotional reaction to inspiration. It's a matchstick. It gives you fire for a moment. But if you don't build something with it, if you don't catch it in your soul, turn it into discipline, that fire dies every single time. Discipline is what keeps you in motion. When your mind is screaming, let's skip today, discipline whispers and we don't skip. When the bed is warm and the morning's cold, discipline drags your feet out and gets you moving. When everyone else is waiting for perfect timing, perfect conditions, perfect motivation, discipline says, we start now, we move now, we grow now, we grow now. And that's why discipline is more powerful than motivation, because motivation gets tired. Motivation can be distracted. Motivation forgets, but discipline is built on decision. Discipline is built on an identity. It's not a mood, it's a mission, has mission. You can't reach greatness on moments of hype. You can't build legacy on feeling excited. You build it on habits. You build it on daily choices. You build it when nobody sees you, nobody celebrates you, nobody supports you. But you keep driving every mile, every inch, because discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about who you are. It's about what you promised yourself. It's about what you committed to when the energy was high and what you still deliver when it's gone. Listen to me. Champions are not made in moments of motivation. They're made in moments of silence, in moments of frustration, in moments when nothing makes sense, but you keep moving anyway. That's where character is built. That's where strength is forged. That's where you find out who you really are. Anybody can start strong. Anybody can look good at the beginning. But how many can stay strong? How many can stay moving when the lights are off, when the results are slow, when the progress is invisible? That's discipline. You want to change your body? You want to build that business? You want to shift. You want to shift. You want to shift your entire life. Good. Start with motivation. Let it fire you up. Let it spark something in. But don't stop there, because if you rely on that motivation alone, I guarantee you'll burn out. You'll fall off. You'll look back and say, I started so strong. What happened? What happened is you had fuel but no engine. You had emotion but no system. You had excitement but no execution. Discipline is what gives your dreams a foundation. It's what moves the car when the road gets dark, when you're low on energy, when all you got left is the will to keep going. Let me be clear. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not flashy. You don't get clapped for brushing your teeth every morning. You don't get likes for showing up every day. But those are the things that build winners. It's the boring stuff. It's the consistent stuff. It's the uncomfortable stuff. That's what gets results. You look at anybody at the top of their game, and you'll see it. They didn't get there because they were motivated every day. They got there because they trained themselves to move no matter what. They kept the engine running even when it was raining, even when the tires were low, even when the road had no sign. They just kept going. That's discipline. That's how you win. So stop waiting for the feeling. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to move. The truth is, the moment is now. Your future is waiting. Your breakthrough is on the road ahead. But you'll never reach it if you only move when you feel like it. If you want to finish the race, if you want to complete the journey, if you want to arrive at the place you keep dreaming of, you need more than motivation. Let's get one thing straight right now. Motivation is emotional. That's all it is. It's energy you feel in the moment. It's the chills you get when you hear a powerful story. The fire that rises up inside when someone says, you can do it. And that's good. That's the start. That excitement can be the spark. But let me ask you something. What happens when that excitement fades? What happens when it's not Monday morning anymore and the music stops and you don't feel like getting up? You see, motivation will get you hyped, but it can't build who you are. It doesn't develop your character. It doesn't shape the person you become. That's what discipline does. That's the difference. Discipline is what teaches you to show up when there's no applause. It's what builds the version of you that can handle pressure, deal with pain, keep moving with no recognition. Discipline builds the kind of strength that doesn't depend on emotions. It builds your habits, your mindset, your foundation. Foundation. Motivation might get you into the gym, but discipline gets you through the days when your body aches. Your mind is tired, and the results haven't shown up yet. Discipline makes you keep going when you feel empty. That's character. That's inner strength. That's who you really are. You don't learn who you are when you're excited. You don't grow when it's easy. You don't develop character when everything is going right. No, you grow when it's hard. You grow when it's cold, when it's dark, when nobody's watching. You grow when you have every reason to quit, but you don't. Wow. That's when discipline steps in and says, this is who we are. We don't fold, we don't run, we don't make excuses. That voice inside you, that's not motivation. That's character. And character is only built through consistent action, through discipline. See, motivation is based on how you feel. It's unstable. It's like the wind. It blows strong one day and disappears the next. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline says, this is the mission and I'll show up for it no matter what. Whether it's raining or shining, whether you're excited or exhausted, whether people support you or they doubt you, discipline shows up every time. And every time you show up when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when you don't feel like it, you're building something in your spirit. That's called character. And let me tell you something. Character will carry you places that excitement can't. When the doors are shut, when the world says no, when you're broke, tired, brokenhearted, your character is what says I'm still here. When things don't go your way, when people walk away from you, when you're left alone with your dream, your character is what keeps you standing. That's discipline. It's not the loud stuff. It's not the flashy stuff. It's the quiet, repetitive, relentless decision to keep doing what needs to be done. I know some of y'all keep jumping from plan to plan, chasing that new excitement, that next big thing. You start strong, but the moment gets hard, you dip. Why? Because you're addicted to the feeling, not committed to the process. You want the excitement without the endurance. But that's not how growth works. That's not how winning works. You don't get results from emotion. You get them from execution. And execution is the child of discipline, not motivation. You want to know who the real ones are? Look at the people who kept showing up long after the feeling was gone. Look at the people who kept building brick by brick when nobody believed in them. Look at the people who failed and failed again, but never quit. Those are the ones with character. They didn't just get excited. They got committed. They didn't chase feelings. They built a life around responsibility. That's the difference. It's easy to talk about goals when you're motivated. Anybody can dream when they feel good. But it's discipline that wakes you up at 5 a.m. after a sleepless night. It's discipline that opens the book when your brain is tired. It's discipline that gets your hands dirty when you don't see the reward yet. Every act of discipline chips away at the old you and builds up the new you. That's how you become the person who's not just inspired, but transformed. Let's be real. If all you ever rely on is motivation, your journey's going to be short. You'll burn bright and fade fast. But if you build discipline, if you choose to act whether you feel like it or not, you're building something eternal. You're becoming unbreakable because the world can shake you, but it can't stop you. Emotions will come and go, but discipline is rooted in purpose. It's anchored in your why. That's what creates identity. That's what develops grit. That's what forms the backbone of champions. So when people ask me what separates winners from wishers, I tell them this: winners have discipline. They don't rely on hype. They don't wait for the perk move. There's going to come a day when you don't feel it anymore. I promise you that. There's going to be a day when the music doesn't pump you up. The sunrise doesn't inspire you. And your dream feels more like a burden than a blessing. That's real. That's not negative talk. That's the truth. Life is going to hit you. It's going to knock the wind out your chest. It's going to test whether this thing you're chasing is just a wish or a lifestyle. And in that moment, when motivation disappears, what's going to keep you moving forward? The answer is simple: discipline. Discipline is the thing that shows up when everything else walks out. It's the thing that whispers, let's go, when your body says, I'm tired, and your mind says, I'm done. Motivation doesn't show up on those days. You can't count on it. It's like a guest that drops by only when it feels like it. But discipline is that dependable friend. The one who shows up every single time, no matter the circumstances, and says, we've got work to do. People always say, Eric, how do you stay so fired up? And I tell them the truth. I don't. I'm not fired up every day. I don't wake up every single morning ready to run through a wall. Some days I wake up tired. Some days I wake up drained. Some days the weight of the mission hits me like a freight train. But I still move. I still get up. I still grind. Why? Because my life isn't built on motivation. It's built on discipline. It's built on a foundation of decisions I made long ago. I decided who I was going to be, and I made up my mind that I was going to live according to that decision, no matter what. You gotta understand, when motivation vanishes and you're left with whatever systems and habits you built, if all you ever had was hype, you're in trouble, because hype doesn't lift the weights. Hype doesn't write the book. Hype doesn't build the business. Discipline does. Discipline is the engine. It's the muscle. It's the backbone. And it never takes a day off. That's why you train it. That's why you feed it every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Let me tell you something. The world doesn't care how motivated you are. It doesn't reward potential. It rewards performance. You don't get a trophy for being excited about your goals. You get a trophy for putting in the work day after day after day, regardless of how you feel. That's the cold truth. And if you're relying on motivation to get you through, you're not gonna make it to the finish line. But if you build discipline into your DNA, you'll keep running even when the road gets rough, even when your legs start to give out, even when the crowd stops cheering. And it's not glamorous. It's not sexy. Discipline is waking up before the alarm goes off. Discipline is studying when your friends are partying. Discipline is saying a no to distractions so you can say yes to your purpose. It's doing the work in silence and letting your results do the talking. It's showing up to the gym when it's snowing. It's writing that chapter when your mind is blank. It's making calls, taking notes, practicing, grinding without the adrenaline, without the applause. Some of y'all are stuck because you're waiting to feel something before you do something. Let me tell you this. Feelings are liars. Your feelings will betray you. They'll tell you it's okay to rest when it's time to push. They'll tell you it's okay to quit when it's time to endure. You need something stronger than feelings. You need a code, a commitment, a decision you made deep in your soul that says, I will not stop. I will not fold. I will not retreat. That's what discipline is. Every successful person you admire, every athlete, every entrepreneur, every leader, they didn't get where they are because they stayed motivated. They got there because they stayed disciplined. They mastered the boring. They dominated the mundane. They committed to the routine. And now everybody sees the glory, but they don't understand the grind. They don't see the nights they cried, the mornings they wanted to stay in bed, the moments they almost walked away, but didn't because they had discipline. You want results, you want greatness, then you have to build something that doesn't depend on the weather, something that doesn't break when you're tired, something that keeps going when everything around you tells you to stop. That's what carries you through the storm. That's what takes you past your breaking point. Motivation can't do that. Emotion can't do that, but discipline can. It's the anchor. It's the driver. And when everything else fades, it's the only thing that remains. So if today you don't feel motivated, good. That's your moment. That's your test. That's your opportunity to prove to yourself that you don't need a feeling to be faithful. You don't need hype to hustle. You don't need a crowd to chase your calling. There's going to come a day when you don't feel it anymore. I promise you that. There's going to be a day when the music doesn't pump you up. The sunrise doesn't inspire you, and your dream feels more like a burden than a blessing. That's real. That's not negative talk. That's the truth. Life is gonna hit you. It's gonna knock the wind out your chest. It's gonna test whether this thing you're chasing is just a wish or a lifestyle. And in that moment, when motivation disappears, what's gonna keep you moving forward? The answer is simple: discipline. Discipline. Discipline is the thing that shows up when everything else walks out. It's the thing that whispers, oh, let's go. When your body says, I'm tired, and your mind says, I'm done. Motivation doesn't show up on those days. You can't count on it. It's like a guest that drops by only when it feels like it. But discipline is that dependable friend, the one who shows up every single time, no matter the circumstances, and said, we've got work to do. People always say, Eric, how do you stay so fired up? And I tell them the truth. I'm not fired up every day. I don't wake up every single morning ready to run through a wall. Some days I wake up tired. Some days I wake up drained. Some days the weight of the mission hits me like a freight train. But I still move. I still get up. I still grind. Why? Because my life isn't built on motivation. It's built on discipline. It's built on a foundation of decisions I made long ago. I decided who I was going to be. And I made up my mind that I was going to live according to that decision, no matter what. You got to understand, when motivation vanishes, and then when you're left with whatever systems and habits you built. If all you ever had was hype, you're in trouble. Because hype doesn't lift the weights. Hype doesn't write the book. Hype doesn't build a business. Discipline does. Discipline is the engine. It's the muscle. It's the backbone. And it never takes a day off. That's why you train it. That's why you feed it every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Let me tell you something. The world doesn't care how motivated you are. It doesn't reward potential. It rewards performance. You don't get a trophy for being excited about your goals. You get a trophy for putting in the work day after day after day after day, regardless of how you feel. That's the cold truth. And if you're relying on motivation to get you through, you're not gonna make it to the finish line. But if you build discipline into your DNA, you'll keep running even when the road gets rough, even when your legs start to give out, even when your legs start to give out, even when the crowd stops cheering. And it's not glamorous. It's not sexy. Discipline is waking up before the alarm goes off. Discipline is studying when your friends are partying. Discipline is saying a no to distractions so you can say yes to your purpose. It's doing the work in silence and letting your results do the talking. It's showing up to the gym when it's snowing. It's writing that chapter when your mind is blank. It's making calls, taking notes, practicing, grinding, without the adrenaline, without the applause. Some of y'all are stuck because you're waiting to feel something before you do something. Let me tell you this. Feelings are liars. Your feelings will betray you. They'll tell you it's okay to rest when it's time to push. They'll tell you it's okay to quit when it's time to endure. You need something stronger than feelings. You need a code, a commitment, a decision you made deep in your soul that says, I will not stop. I will not fold. I will not retreat. That's what discipline is. Every successful person you admire, every athlete, every entrepreneur, every leader, they didn't get where they are because they stayed motivated. They got there because they stayed disciplined. They mastered the boring. They dominated the mundane. They committed to the routine. And now everybody sees the glory, but they don't understand the grind. They don't see the nights they cried, the mornings they wanted to stay in bed, the moments they almost walked away but did because they had discipline. You want results? You want greatness? Then you have to build something that doesn't depend on the weather, something that doesn't break when you're tired, something that keeps going when everything around you tells you to stop. That's what carries you through the storm. That's what takes you past your breaking point. Motivation can't do that. Emotion can't do that. But discipline can. It's the anchor. It's the driver. And when everything else fades, it's the only thing that remains. So if today you don't feel motivated, good. That's your moment. That's your test. That's your opportunity to prove to yourself that you don't need a feeling to be faithful. You don't need hype to hustle. You don't need a crowd to chase your calling. Time is the one thing you don't get back. You can lose money and get it back. You can lose friends and find new ones. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. You can't rewind it, you can't pause it, and you definitely can't buy more of it. Every second you breathe, every minute that ticks away, that's life moving forward. And it's never coming back. That's why I tell you, you better respect your time like your life depends on it, because it does. And let me be real with you. Motivation doesn't respect time. Discipline does. When you're motivated, you wait for the right moment. You waste time sitting around hoping to feel it, hoping to get inspired, hoping for that perfect alignment of energy and mood and mindset. But time doesn't wait for you to feel it. The clock keeps moving. The world keeps turning. The world keeps turning. And if all you're doing is sitting around waiting for motivation to strike, you're losing valuable time. Time you could have used to build something. Time you could have used to grind. Time you could have used to get one step closer to your dream. Discipline says, I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm not in the mood. It's time to work. Discipline knows the value of a minute. It knows that every hour is either an investment or a loss. Discipline doesn't waste time wondering if now was the right time. It makes every time the right time, because discipline shows up no matter what. While motivation waits on the sun to shine, discipline gets up while it's still dark. It gets up while everyone else is sleeping. It gets to work before the mood even has time to settle in. Because it's not about feelings, it's about commitment. Let me tell you something. The reason most people don't make it isn't because they're not talented or smart. It's because they waste time. They let minutes slip away watching other people live their dreams instead of building their own. They scroll. They procrastinate. They distract themselves. Why? Because they're waiting to feel ready. But let me hit you with the truth. You're never going to feel 100% ready. If you keep waiting for motivation to show up, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. You don't need motivation to start. You need discipline to finish. Discipline puts your purpose on the calendar. Discipline says, it's what we do and this is when we do it and this is when we do it. No debates, no delay. That's why people with discipline dominate. That's why they get more done in a day than others do in a week. If they've mastered time, they don't play with it. They plan it. They protect it. They don't let other people hijack it. They don't let distractions rob it. They treat their time like it's sacred, because it is. You ever look back on your week and wonder where all the time went? That's not discipline talking. That's motivation failing. That's a sign you let your feelings guide your schedule. But when you operate with discipline, you don't have that regret. You don't look back wondering if you did enough. You know you did. You showed up. You executed. You followed through. Even when it was hard, even when it was boring, even when nobody was watching, you respected your time and your time respected you back. Time has memory, y'all. It remembers what you put into it. If you put in laziness, distractions, and procrastination, don't expect excellence to come out. But if you give time your best, your discipline, your focus, your grind, then time will reward you. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it pays back everything you put in. And when you're disciplined, you're making daily deposits into your future. That's how you build success. Minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. I need you to start guarding your time like it's gold. Stop giving it away to things that don't grow you. Stop wasting it waiting for motivation to strike. Start acting like every moment matters, because it does. The people who win in life are not the ones with the most inspiration. They're the ones with the most intentionality. They get up with a plan, they execute the plan, and they adjust, improve, and repeat. That's discipline. Let's be honest, you've already wasted enough time. You've already delayed enough dream. You already talked about what you were gonna do long enough. Now it's time to move, and not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient, but right now, this minute, this hour, this day. Because if you want a different life, you have to start treating your time differently. Don't be the person who looks back 5 years from now with nothing motivation quote saved in your phone and no results to show for it. Be the person who used discipline to turn every second into something meaningful. Be the person who used their time like it was the last thing they had. Because one day it will be. Your time is your life, and your discipline is how you honor. Everybody loves to start. That's the easy part. The beginning is when the music's playing loud, the energy is high, and you got dreams in your chest so big you can't sleep. That's when motivation kicks in. It gets you hyped. It gets you moving. It gets you off the couch. And don't get me wrong, motivation is a great spark. It's what lights the fire. But what happens when the fire starts to die down? What happens when the excitement fades? What happens when the grind gets real? When the pain sets in and when nobody's clapping for you anymore? Let me tell you what happens. Most people stop. They quit. They drop out of the race. Why? Because they were running on motivation. They were fueled by emotion, by hype, by the thriller started. But starting don't mean nothing if you don't finish, and finishing, that takes discipline. Discipline is what separates the starters from the finishers. Motivation might put your name on the list, but only discipline gets you across the finish line. When you're motivated, it feels good. You tell everybody what you're about to do. You get your new journal, your new shoes, your new schedule, and for a while it works. You feel alive. But then life hits. You oversleep one morning. Your body aches. That schedule starts to feel heavy, and suddenly motivation goes missing. You look around and it's not there. That's when the test comes. That's the moment where champions are made, because discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up regardless. We said we were gonna do it, and we're gonna do it, period. I've seen so many people full of talent and fire burn out before the finish line. Not because they didn't have what it took, but because they didn't have the discipline to carry the dream when it got hard. You don't win because you start fast. You win because you refuse to stop. And that's what discipline does. It locks in. It grits its teeth. It gets up and gets back at it every day. It doesn't need a crowd. It doesn't need applause. And it doesn't need approval. Discipline runs the race in silence. It finishes it in strength. People ask me all the time, how do you stay consistent? And I tell them, I stopped depending on my feelings. You think I felt like waking up at 3 a.m. every morning? You think I felt like pushing through rejection, through failure, through heartbreak? No, but I had a purpose that was bigger than my feelings. And discipline is what kept me going when every part of me wanted to stop. You don't rise because you feel good. You rise because you made a decision, and you honor that decision every single day, no matter what it costs. Listen, the real race is not one at the starting line. It's one in the middle. It's one when you hit that wall, when your legs feel like concrete, when your lungs are burning and you can barely breathe. That's where most people give up. That's where most people say, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But that's also where discipline digs deeper. That's where the greats rise up. Where the greats rise up. Because discipline ain't just doing the work. It's doing the work when everything in you says stop. Every champion you've ever admired had to fight through that middle. They all had that moment where motivation ran dry. They all had days when they didn't want to keep going, but they did. And not because it felt good, but because they had trained themselves to finish. They had taught themselves that quitting was not an option. That's what you need to do. You need to stop looking for feelings and start building habits. Stop waiting for motivation to kick in and start moving with discipline, even when it hurts. You've got to commit to finishing. You've got to make up your mind that no matter how long it takes, no matter how tough it gets, No matter how lonely the path becomes, you're going to finish the race. Cool. Because you weren't built just to start. You were built to overcome. You were built to endure. You were built to go all the way. And let me be real. The finish line is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you comfort, convenience, and sometimes even relationships. But it will give you back something greater. Legacy, pride, self-respect, and the satisfaction of knowing you followed through. That you didn't quit when it got hard. That you didn't run when it got painful. That you stayed when most people walked away. So stop worrying about how fast you start. Now focus on how strong you finish. Get your eyes off the emotions and put your eyes on the mission. Start building the kind of discipline that doesn't get shaken by time, tiredness, or trial. Because in the end, nobody remembers who started. They remember who stayed. They remember who stayed. They remember who finished. Yes, you were born to finish. Character isn't built overnight. It's not something you're born with or something you can fake. Character is forged in the fires of discipline, day in and day out. It's built by the decisions you make when no one is watching, by the promises you keep to yourself even when it's hard, by the sacrifices you make when you want to quit. Motivation. Motivation will get you hyped. It will get you pumped up for a moment. But motivation will never build the kind of character that changes your life. Motivation builds excuses. Discipline builds character. Every time you rely on motivation, you give yourself a loophole. You say, I'll do it when I feel like it. You say, I'll maybe tomorrow. You say, I'm just not in the mood today. And that's how people build a habit of excuses. That's how you become a prisoner of your feeling. You start to justify why you didn't work out, why you didn't study, why you didn't hustle. Motivation is temporary and it's fickle. One day you've got it, the next day you don't. But character is consistent. Character is reliable. Character is a foundation of greatness. When you choose discipline over motivation, you're choosing to be a person who shows up no matter what. You're choosing to be someone who doesn't let circumstances dictate their action. Character means you don't quit just because you're tired. Character means you don't give up just because the odds are stacked against you. Character means you own your responsibilities and you take control of your life. And guess what? That kind of character only comes from doing the hard work, especially when you don't want to. Think about it. Every successful person you admire, every legend in their field, got there because they built character. They didn't just wait for the right moment or for their feelings to align. They showed up and did the work even when it hurt. They faced rejection, failure, and setbacks, but they kept going. They didn't make excuses. They didn't blame circumstances. They took ownership of their lives. That's discipline. That's character. Motivation whispers lies. It tells you that you need to feel a certain way to take action. It tells you that if it's not fun or easy, then it's not worth it. But those are lies. Discipline tells the truth. Discipline says, no matter how you feel, get up and do it. Discipline says, your future is more important than your temporary comfort, The discipline says, the grind builds greatness, and greatness builds character. When you build character through discipline, you become unshakable. You develop a mindset that says, I don't need to be motivated because I'm committed. You develop integrity because you do what you say you'll do even when nobody is watching. You develop resilience because you've trained yourself to push through pain and setbacks. That's why discipline is the secret weapon of champions. It's the difference between people who talk about their dreams and people who live them. Every time you choose discipline, you're investing in your character. Every time you refuse to give in to excuses, you're strengthening your foundation. And over time, that foundation becomes unbreakable. It becomes who you are. And when character is built, success follows, not the other way around. You don't get success first and then develop character. You develop character first, and success is a byproduct. So stop blaming your lack of motivation for your lack of progress. Stop making excuses for why you didn't do the work. Start building discipline, and you'll start building a character that can't be stopped. Start showing up even when you don't feel like it, and you'll become a person who no obstacle can defeat. Start making choices that honor your future self, and you'll create a life worth living. Discipline builds who you are, Motivation just builds the stories you tell yourself when you fall short. When you fall short.